Welcome everyone to the My Local CFO Business Town Hall meeting. I'm super excited. We've made it. Today is Relationship Sunday. Now, we have been with you for a whole week and we cannot wait to get today started. Listen, I got a special treat for you today. I've got Miss Laura Valentine, the licensed social worker, who will be talking to us about relationships. Yes, you know, during this time, we may be stuck in the house with people, the kids, our spouse, our loved ones, even just relationships as it relates to just everyday relationships with ourselves, not with anybody else, because that's really where it starts. You know, this town hall series has been amazing. We went from Monday on mindfulness to Tuesday on Tech Tuesday to Wednesday on communication. And then on Thursday, we had a soulful Thursday where we talked about imagination and dreaming. To Friday, when we dealt with grief and loss and understanding and working through that. To yesterday, having the trio on of financial advisors and CPAs and CFOs to talk about Investment Saturday. So I'm so happy today to welcome you, Laura Valentine, on to our Business Town Hall series for Relationship Sunday.
Well, hello. Thank you, Sherelle. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and be a part of this amazing series.
Okay, so we're just going to get right into it because I know that you have some very good knowledge. Now, Laura is the clinical director and CEO for Overcomers Counseling, and so she runs into a lot of different things over the years as she's counseled and dealt with mental health. So before we start talking about relationships with other people, let's start with relationships with yourself, because during this time, and a lot of times we find ourselves in places where we may be alone. No one's there but us, and all we have are our thoughts and our mind and just our bodies, just us. And that for some people can be very, very distracting in a lot of ways, and in other ways that can be very fearful. So let's talk about first if you're alone or if you're home alone, if you feel alone, some of the things that we may want to look at doing, some of the things that we may look at to get ourselves out of our head, because we know that this is a dangerous place to be by yourself, and get ourselves into a space or creating a space that will work for us to be able to be positive and not fearful.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sherelle. Thank you so much. That's a great question. And that is a question that I'm asked often. So I want to answer that twofold. I want to answer that for the people who you're single and you're ready to mingle, and how do I date while we were having to be forced to be socially isolated, right?
Mhm.
And then that can be twofold, because there are people who are struggling with a mental health concern or issue where being in a home alone, you're forced to think about things that you normally don't want to, things that normally bring you great anxiety and depression. So this question has to be twofold, because as in anything in life, there's not a one size fits all answer. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yes.
Okay. So for the people who are single and ready to mingle, this is actually a good thing. This is a good thing because you're having to build a relationship with someone that you can't touch, you can't see. So the intimacy doesn't really get involved and muddle things up. You have to actually talk to them over the phone. You have to listen to what they're saying, right? You're not distracted by all the other stuff, all the niceties basically of a relationship. Okay. And then you want to think about it from another way too, that even though you're single and you're ready to mingle, there's some things that you need to do for yourself, some things that you have to work on for yourself, things that you may not have thought about. This is a good time to reflect on maybe, why didn't my last relationship work? What was it that I could have done a little bit differently, or could have done a little bit better? What are some things that I can do now with this free time that I wasn't able to do when I was busy, able to go to the mall, able to be easily distracted? How can I focus on some things that need to be worked on the inside of me? Okay. Then if we want to talk about it from a mental health perspective, if you're alone and you're isolated, you have to remember that you may be physically alone, but you're not alone if you have friends and family that you can call on. You need to build on your support system, call them a little bit more often, let them know that you are struggling with being alone so that they can reach out a little bit more. But don't see this time, or try not to see this time as I am alone and I need to be sad and stuck in this place by myself. No, enjoy yourself. Try to find out new things about you and maybe reconnect with people that you didn't have time with before and reach out to them now.
So what I'm understanding and hearing is just because we're physically distanced away, that doesn't stop the social distancing of being able to reach out to phone and using technology to virtually look and see people if you need that kind of connection. It's just a physical touch that's not happening right now. And that there's people out there that do love you, that do care about you. And it's about us getting out of our own way to be able to connect with them, to say, hey, I need to talk to you. I need this time with you. And I hear you saying for single who's ready to mingle, which is, oh my gosh, that's been so many years for me, but that's a whole nother story, a whole nother topic, but it's great. It's an exciting time because they can get rid of a lot of the fluff that happens with being face to face, the intimacy that causes or kind of clogs or creates separate issues of physically being intimate together, to really get to know each other, to really get to evaluate the other, yourself first and the other person, of just having some genuine conversations that I think a lot of relationships lack. And so am I hearing this correctly?
That's absolutely correct. What I'm telling single people who have this opportunity now to just sit with themselves, to choose wisely. Don't choose someone based on your current circumstance where you're in the house and you're alone. Choose someone that speaks to purpose, to where you're going, and not where you are right now. So actually, this can be a really, really good time for relationships if you focus on the fact that you have some time to love on yourself, to get to know you and get to know that person a little bit better without all of the extra distraction that comes. So
Gotcha.
so see the isolation, not that I'm stuck and I'm alone, but now I just have some space for clarity. That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely makes a lot of sense. So, okay. So now let's kind of move that into families where, and we'll talk before kids and then we'll talk with kids if that works. Because I think there's a different dynamic on both of those fronts. So, okay. So I do have someone with me and we'll talk married, then we'll just talk family in general, right? That lives in the house. I do have someone that I'm married to that lives with me, and we're not used to being in this space together this amount of time together. What do you say to that married couple? There's no one else here. It's just me and him. And we don't have a lot of places we can go to be separate from each other. What do you say to that couple?
So that's a good and funny question, simply because I'm hearing for some couples it's great, but then for others, let's be realistic. If your marriage was not great before this, you are stuck in the house with someone you didn't really like, right? And that in itself could be detrimental. I've had some clients literally say, we're getting divorced after this because we just don't get along. We just can't make this thing work. So again, this is twofold, because there are some people who are excited about being there and some people who aren't. So for those who have figured out that it's not working, this is a good time again to spend with your spouse and see what went wrong, and how can we make adjustments. What is causing this pain? Let's focus on it. Let's not avoid it anymore. Let's sit and really try to work through it if we can. And if you cannot, then go ahead, seek professional help, whatever you need to do after the fact. But for those of us who are saying, hey, I'm stuck in the house with my spouse, I've been here together, oh my gosh, this is a really, really great time to again sit and focus on the relationship.
Mhm.
Have gratitude. See your spouse in a new light. Say, have some conversations about them. How have you been? What are you up to? Tell me about your dreams. Tell me about your goals. What's been happening with you? Because sometimes we're so busy, we live like ships in the night, right?
Mhm.
One spouse is
Mhm.
going, the other one is coming. We don't spend a whole lot of time really investing and growing the relationship. So this is a good time to grow it from a different perspective. What I'm telling some couples is to find an area in your relationship that your spouse has been saying for a long time, hey, we're not doing great at communication. Get a book on communication and learn a new communication skill, right? um, you can do new things like read a book together. Get a book that's on, the love five love languages is a great book for relationships. You can get that book, read it together. One spouse can highlight in one color, the other one highlight in another, and just kind of exchange your ideas as you're going through the book and you're figuring out new things about your spouse. Because I was telling my spouse the other day that he's not the same person I married 12 years ago.
Mm.
I'm not the same person
Yeah.
that he's married 12 years ago. And reintroducing ourselves to each other is super important. Who am I today? What are my likes? What are my dislikes? Right? Because my 30-year-old self and my 40-year-old self, they're different people. Some
Mhm.
similarities, but we would hope that growth has happened. So you want to learn who your spouse is in a different light so that you don't have that issue where you all are growing apart, but instead you're growing together as individuals, but enjoying and uplifting and encouraging each other in the process.
Right. Wow. So let me ask you this. So say that it's the couple that we're not getting along, that we're not seeing eye to eye. Could you give me just a few first steps that they may take to start listening to? Because I know you say sit down. It's like we're already not listening to each other. I'm already over it in a lot of ways. Are there some certain things that they may can try or do to see if they can find a way to have the adult conversation without putting on whatever is already there in their mind, being able to push that aside and really have a genuine conversation to get to the core of the matter, and maybe they can solve it, maybe not.
Mhm. So, so this is a question, and I'm going to use the word forgiveness here, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean forgiveness from a spiritual perspective. I mean it for simply what it is, that we have to almost forget yesterday and live in today, into this moment. If you're carrying what your spouse did to you 5 years ago, somewhere in a pocket, in a corner of your mind and your heart, you're not going to be able to sit with that person and listen to what it is they're trying to say. So it really starts with understanding that there's some issues that brought us to where we are today. And yes, of course, they need to be addressed, but they can't be harped on. They can't be what's in the forefront of the relationship at this moment. If you're arguing about clothes being on the floor, you don't need to hear that 2 years ago you left the ketchup bottle on the counter, right? That leave that there. Now, of course, if we're talking about more serious matters as far as infidelity, or we're talking about any kind of abuse, anything that has traumatic, there has to be some individual work before you
Mm-hmm.
can really sit and have that joint conversation together. So this is a tough question, though, Sherelle. It's not really that simple that
Right.
we can answer it because a lot goes into it. Emotional intelligence comes into it. Self-regulation plays an important part of it. So just it's a matter of really wanting and desiring to say, I want this thing to work, and I'm willing to give it my all, and I'm not going to hold the past against you. We're going to sit today and we're going to talk to this thing today. And if you find yourself not being able to regulate your emotions, ask for a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
So what a timeout looks like is like, hey, I'm overwhelmed. Can I get 5 minutes? Can I get 10 minutes to step away, go to the bathroom, drink some water, and I'm coming back. So there's a difference between a timeout and just shutting down or stonewalling. Stonewalling is where your spouse is talking to you and you're not there. They can see your body language, you're not present, you're not in it at all. Timeout says, I need a minute to regulate. I'm stepping away, but I'm coming back so we can continue this conversation. And that has to be, it has to be a true desire of each partner to stick together and really make that thing work.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Laura, and I totally understand that it's not as simple as, oh, we're just gonna say we're gonna talk today. It has to do with, first, we kind of talked about this in the beginning. It has to do with first working on yourself to then be able to come to the table to work with the other person. But it takes two. We have a participant, an audience member that said it definitely takes two wanting the change. One person can't want the change. It definitely takes two to want the change, which means that there's individual work on both sides, and then there's together work that happens as well. Yeah. So I totally understand and get that. One of the reasons why I wanted to delve into that just a little bit as we move forward was because when we talk about not just spouses, but people who are in business together, spouses in business can add that extra layer of toughness, that extra layer of mental anxiety and all kinds of other things. And you're usually with that spouse 24/7 in a lot of ways, because we're talking business, we're talking home, we're talking everything. And you don't leave and go then to your spouse to talk about your colleague, right? That you left at work. They're there together. And so I think that what you talked about and what you just explained also helps couples that may even be in business together. Absolutely. To be able to see, okay, there's some individual things that I need to work on. I need to see grace in some areas, because everyone has strengths, everyone has weaknesses. What I may be asking of the other person as a spouse may not be their area of strength, or they may not even be capable. I may think they should be capable because I feel you should be capable, but they may not be capable of doing what I'm asking them to do. And it's making me more and more frustrated, and making them frustrated because they're not capable and they don't know how to say, look, I'm not capable of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to expand on that a little bit more, because whenever clients ask me about overcoming difficulties together, one of the first things I say is there is no overcoming difficulties together if you have not learned how to overcome a difficulty for yourself.
Whoa. Wow.
Right? It's individual. You have to be able to examine your core beliefs, because whether you know it or not, the way you were raised, your value systems are connected to what you've seen, to some things you've experienced, and you're coming into the relationship, whether it be a marriage, family matter, business partner, you're going into those relationships with your core values, your beliefs. And as you said earlier on, you're thinking that someone should behave this way or act this way or understand this way, but absolutely not. Their values are their values, and their perspective is their perspective. And they're going to think that they're right. Because the funny thing about core values and core beliefs is, even if it's wrong, that person believes it to be true to them, right? And that's really, really hard. Then you have other things like interpersonal problems. Then, of course, as a mental health counselor, I will always come from the mental health perspective. You have mental health issues, you have trauma, you have self-esteem, there's depression, there's anxiety. There are all these things that play a part in someone's idea and their belief of the world. So you have to consider these things when you're sitting with your partner, business, relationship, whatever wise. You almost have to put yourself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from before you all can really, really make good decisions, sound decisions together.
Which brings us to the next part. Okay, now let's add in the kids. I think this is a great place to add the kids in.
Well, this is a funny one, because I have a 6-year-old at home with me. So I've had the hardest, but the best time ever, because most likely I can open that door when I'm done here and she's sitting outside, right? So having to add your kids to the fact that you're working from home now and your spouse is there, there's no escaping. You cannot go to the mall and buy something. You can't have the commute home home from work or to work. There is no free time, right, for you anymore. And then you add the kids into it. So I've heard three different things since COVID-19 has happened. It's either just total chaos and it's the worst thing that has ever happened. It's doom and gloom, or it's just total bliss. And then there's just somewhere in between, this gray, funny place to be, right? So what I would say in that case is if you're finding that the kids are adding some extra strain, again, let's go back to the previous question. This is a good time to stop and check the pain points. What is it? What's really happening here? What's driving me insane about this thing? Why is it bothering me so much? Okay. And then work at it. See what's going on. Maybe it is that your kids needed attention, right? For me, I've come to understand that I work a lot, and realistically, from someone who teaches about self-care and balance, at times I know that I'm not able to operate in that space. So for my daughter, seeing me at home 24/7, she's like, I need to squeeze you, right? I need some time with you, lady. So yeah, I know you're in there. I know you're working, but I want some time with you. So now I had to figure out, all right, let me go ahead and give my daughter some more time. Let me give some attention. So maybe this was great. This experience was great for me. So I get to reevaluate some things and spend some more time with my children, be able to there may be some needs that we needed to attend to, some things that maybe they had too much TV time or screen time, and maybe you need to stay and build a puzzle with them, right? So this gives us time to really look at the marriage, look at the family as a whole, and see some adjustments that we can make. And then on the flip side, if it's just great bliss for you and you are enjoying this, you can't get enough of your family, then this is a time to make new memories. New memories. We're outside. I thank God that we have a backyard with some space, so she's able to go outside and get on the trampoline. So we can go outside. We can go for a walk. That's something that my husband and I weren't able to do. So now we can take walks together as a family and together and just spend a little bit more time. So again, we can come out of COVID-19, and for some of you may have heard before that out of every crisis comes an opportunity. We can sit and by no means are we devaluing the lives that have been lost and the jobs that are gone and the pain that some are suffering. We honor that, and we are with you in prayer and in spirit as much as we can be. Yeah. But for those of you who have the opportunity to make this better for yourself, for your family, I say that no better time than to focus on what you can do that's new and better for your family.
So you hit some really good things, and I think, yes, in the time of COVID-19, but all of the things that we're talking about are things that you can use at any time in your life, no matter where you are in your life, because it may not be, you may be in bliss right now. It may not be right now that you're having the hardships or that you're having the trials with the kids or trying to figure things out, that these same things can happen years from now. You can still use some of these same tips and resources then as well. So, one of the things that I say all the time, and I hear you saying it over and over from this conversation, is in disasters just magnify where the problem areas were. So it could have been a tiny pinhole of a problem, and then disaster makes it open into a big hole or a big mountain, where we knew there was something there, is a little bump we would go over and, okay, we'll deal with that one day. We'll deal with that one day. And now it's magnified because of the disaster. It presents not a problem, but a great opportunity to be able to deal with whatever that was having that obstacle that may be there that's now magnified itself.
Absolutely. I was talking to my niece yesterday because she's single. So she is saying, okay, auntie, this is not working for me. I'm stuck in the house. I can't meet anybody. She got a new job literally the same week that we started with shut-in. So she's not working, wow, is not in a relationship. And she's like, okay, why is this happening to me? And I said, okay, so let's look at it from this way. Instead of saying, God, why is this happening to me? Why is nothing working for me? Right when I thought that I was going to make some changes in my life and this was going to be my new beginning, why is it happening to me? I said, well, let's look at it this way. Instead of saying, why is this thing happening to me? Say, why is it happening for me?
Mm.
What is it that I can go back? So I said, let's look at your intentions. Why did you move? What are you seeking in life? What's your purpose? What's your mission? What's your goal? Maybe you needed to reassess some things anyway, and COVID actually helped you to do that. So let's break it apart and do some work in a different way. So to watch her face move from just, okay, the end of the world is happening, to, all right, I didn't think of it that way, was really, really, it was edified and uplifting for both of us. We had a great time yesterday talking about it. So yes, absolutely. I'm saying, don't look at this experience as it's the worst thing happening to you. Look at it as, how can I restore, renew, rejuvenate? How can I reassess? This is a time to really, really rebuild and clean up some things that weren't working anyway and start new.
Wow. Wow. That's a great place. That is a really good place. So, how then can the person on the outside be supportive of the person who's going through? Similar to you were supportive to your niece. How, when we, one, how do we identify that the person in our house or someone who's reaching out to us, because we talked about an individual who just needs to reach out, how do we identify that they just need a little bit more attention and someone to talk to, but also how to be supportive for that person?
Yeah. So when we think of support, we should always think of it from a holistic point of view. Think of it in a space that someone's lacking, maybe from their spiritual side, from their mental health, from their emotional, from their physical. When we think of loved ones, um, frontline workers, essential workers, people who are out there just giving their all, they're working longer hours. They may not be eating well. They may not be sleeping well because a lot of anxiety is connected to going out there. Think of it. You and I may have the opportunity to stay at home and be safe, but they have to go to work,
Mm-hmm.
and not by choice because maybe they can't afford to not go to work. So they're going out there. There's already the anxiety behind that step. So now it's how can we be a friend? How can we be a love? How can we be, operating those roles that we have? So the first thing I want to say for spouses, if you have a spouse, male, female, however it is that your family has been designed, take your partner out or take that burden off of them to have to operate in that role. What I mean by role is, yes, they're a parent, a mother, a father, a spouse. Take them out of that for a minute and understand that they need your help. So if they come home and they're hungry, make them a plate, make them something to eat. Don't wait for that spouse to be the one to feed you if that's something that they did beforehand. Have mercy on them, right? Offer them some support in that way. If the clothes are something that your spouse would do, I mean, the washing machine washes the clothes. You can sort and throw it in there and let your spouse be able to have that day off to not have to do the household chores of things, right? Your children, again, as I said, I have a 6-year-old. She wants to spend time with me, and I understand that. So what my spouse can do is keep her occupied and entertained, so I don't have to operate in that role for a minute, so that maybe I can get some rest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you're able to support them by first understanding that they really cannot operate. They can't do self-care for themselves as they normally would be able to. So you can help them in that way. Help them with roles, help them take that feeling of guilt off of them, that because I'm not unable to perform the way I used to, that I'm not any less than. It's just that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is balanced right now if I'm working 5 more hours. So
Mm-hmm.
help me in that manner. Okay. This one is another very important part. Just listen. A lot of times we are in relationships and we want to give advice. We want to tell our partners what they should do, what they could do to make things better. Maybe they just want you to listen. Maybe they just want to say, hey, today was a long day. And they just want to cry. And they want you to just sit with them. So listen, be present in the way that they're feeling. And try not to offer advice. Just be and let them be. Right? So, and then we want to encourage them. Last but not least, we want to encourage them. We want to say to them that we see you. You are a frontline worker. You are an essential worker to others. You're a superhero to them. You're superheroes to us. We love you. I see you, babe. I know you're working long hours. I appreciate you. So just really encouraging them. You have smaller kids. Let them make cards. Let them make some homemade cards that tell that parent or that primary care provider that I see you and I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing because you are loved.
Hmm. So definitely, and we say thank you to all of our essential first line workers and responders. And if we take this a step further and think about those who are just at home, I may not be on the front line, I may not be working, but one of the things that COVID may have done is being home, I realize I'm tired. Being at home, I realize, oh my gosh, I need a lot of rest. How then how is that in a relationship? How can that be supported? Because a lot of people have been going for years, and they just realize something's not right because I just want to sleep all the time, or I don't have the energy that I thought I had, and that could be indicative of a lot of things, right? Could be indicative of going, but it could be indicative of some mental health things as well that's happening with that. So how do we identify and how do we support that person going through those things inside the house?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, if we do it twofold, um, there are some people that needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna smile and say that because I know quite a few of them, right?
I think I do
Personally,
too.
right? So those people need a break. I think this is a time for you to sit still because your body needed you to sit still. And again, we're not enjoying this experience while others are in pain, but we most certainly are understanding that, hey, if I have this opportunity presented in front of me to sit still, then I'm going to take it and honor my body,
Mm-hmm.
honor my mind, right? So for those people, this is good. This is good for you. Go ahead and look at your diet. Look at how you're eating. Look at how you're exercising. Look at, maybe it's just a great time to pick up a book that you bought 5 years ago on working through your soul or goal planning. This is a good time to sit with you and just rest because your body needed it. And then there's another type of person who they are depressed. They're in the bed longer hours. You go into the room, the curtains are closed. They're just really becoming more and more isolated because this is depressive, right? You want, if you're by yourself, you have to put your foot, one foot in front of the other, literally. Take your leg up and put it off the bed, get up, open your curtains, let some sunlight in, go downstairs, get yourself something to eat, go in, take a nice warm shower. Tell yourself that I have to do this because if I stay in this bed, I'm going to stay in this bed. So literally you have to encourage yourself from the inside out to make that move and to make the decision that if I stay here, I will continue to feed this depression versus get up and move and shake it off, because anything we feed grows. So if you feed that depression, and I understand that now, again, if we're talking about mental health from a clinical perspective, where you have been clinically diagnosed and there's medication involved and so many other things, then you really, really want to dig deep into your toolbox and help yourself and motivate yourself and get your support systems in order, right? But then for others who don't have the tougher experience of the depression, but you're feeling yourself feeling sad and in a sort of depressive state, then motivate yourself, move. let your behavior dictate your thoughts and your emotions, other than the other way around.
Mm. At what point does it allow for outside help? At what point do we reach outside, whether it's the person who's feeling these things, or the supportive person who just sees that it's gone beyond just I need rest?
Okay. So you have to look at what's normal. So an easy way to gauge, all right, this person's behavior is not normal. You've not changed your clothes in 3 days, right? You're not eating, you're not sleeping. You want to be inside when normally this person is outgoing and normally the life of the party. If you're the supporter and you recognize that there's some changed behavior, then you want to be that person that helps. Hey, let's go for a walk. Make them something to eat. It's not okay to say I'm not hungry. Okay, cool. Then here's a shake, or here's something. Here's a snack. Give them something great that they like to eat. So you're not being overbearing in the process of helping, but you're definitely not allowing them to continue to slip into that space. Okay. And then as far as from an individual perspective, what I work with a lot of my clients who are depressed and anxious, we have to look at depression as waves. They come and they go, right? And we can do it one or two ways. Sometimes things happen in life, a tsunami. What really gets people with tsunamis is that it comes unexpectedly. We didn't know it was coming. We were minding our own businesses, and with this wave of emotion or things knock us over, right? But then there are surfers who literally get up in the morning, get dressed, and they're chasing that big wave. And they are like, wee, and riding this thing like it's the best thing that ever happened to them, right? So we need to look at it as such. We need to look at depression in that way, that it's coming. If you know it's something that you've battled with for most of your life for a long time, it's coming. So what's in your toolbox? Where is your surfboard? What is it? Do you have your music prepared that uplifts you? Do you have a few phone numbers to call, people who would make you laugh? Do you have a favorite comedian that you can put on and watch that show and let it change your emotions? So you have to have some things in your toolbox ready to go. So when you feel yourself slipping, you can go ahead and help yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So now let's talk about some fun stuff that we can do um, outside of the box of what we're normally used. Because usually you can take date night and you go to the movies and you go to the theater, or you take a walk or stroll around the lake, and you just do all of these things. And now that we're pretty much in the house, right? So how do we spice up date night? How do we keep our relationship with our loved one or our spouse, or even with the family? Because sometimes date night can be the whole family having a date night or a family night. How are we spicing things up to make sure that we're still having a good time and creating memories and bringing joy into our lives?
Yeah, good. Good, good, good. So date night, you can absolutely have date night downstairs in your dining room. Yep. You can send your spouse a text message and say, hey, dinner tonight at 7 o'clock. And the two of you can actually get dressed up from head to toe. You can take a sheet, a literal bedroom sheet, throw it over your dining room table, add some nice dishes, and here you are in a fancy 5-star dining room, right? It is what you say it is whatever your imagination says it is. So this is going to be a great time to tap into kids. Kids have the best time with nothing, right? They can use their imagination and make things happen. So we have to do the same thing. Dress up, go downstairs, have some time with your spouse. Maybe you need to find your inner child. Go on to like Michael's or one of those places that have art supplies and order some kind of kit that you can use and build something together, right? Date night could be you all being creative.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. This was so amazing. there's some sip and paint and create places that are offering you packets that are ready to go now. So order a couple of those, and then you and your spouse get your favorite drink, whatever that is, and paint something together, right? So just really, really recognizing that home is your new space. This kind of is our new normal. How can we keep this thing spicy? How can we keep ourselves entertained in these new 4 quarters? So as I said a little bit early on, go for a walk, you
Yeah.
know, dress up and go for a walk around your neighborhood, hold hands, and just really, really enjoy each other in the space of time that you have to do it.
Yeah, I know for some people, I want the last time they just walked and held hands, something that simple. We take
Yeah,
those things for granted a lot of times. So
absolutely.
now, if you have kids, you're saying get the kids involved, get them active in it. That you may say this is mommy and daddy time and set something for them to do, or it may be a place where they're serving and they're, hello sir, hello ma'am, and
There you
depending on the
go. There
ages
you
and
go.
different things like this, and they're involved in seeing healthy couple activities.
Yes, 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 yes. This is a great time for your kids to be a part of the love, because I tell parents this all the time. Your kids are aware of what you're saying and what you're doing. If you are arguing, they get it, they feel it. So why not let them feel the love?
Mm.
Why not let them be a part of growing this relationship? Let them be grossed at the fact that you're kissing in front of them, right? This is a good time to do that. I really, really, as we talked a lot today, and yes, you're right. I'm hearing myself saying it to redefine some things. Maybe date night was the two of you just going to the movie, so they knew that you were off to date night, but now they
Mhm.
actually get to experience it and see what date night looks like at home. But then
Okay.
even for the kids though, so let's shift a little bit from that.
Uh-huh.
Having fun for them to do. If it's family night, you can take your home, your living room, your dining room, and make those into scavenger hunt spaces. So you're just moving everything around. And for us, we straight up had an Easter egg hunt around the house, outside in the yard, where you just have to get creative and find new ways of doing things that you used to do that will bring new joy, new excitement into the relationship, into the family.
Wow. So now let's talk about, because I can't leave my single parents out, right? That may not have the other spouse to be able to create those intimate times. They're home alone with the kids.
Yeah,
What are some things that they can do for themselves, one, and then with the kids as well?
yeah. So for single parents, this is a little bit harder. And we really have to honor that, because and it's even worse if you're a single parent with young children.
Mhm.
If you have an older child, then you may be able to run away for a minute. And now I was laughing with one of my clients the other day. For her, self-care is getting to go to the grocery store by herself now, right? Literally having that 30-minute ride where she's able to go and run away for a little bit, because now they're parents, we're teachers, we're doing everything in the home. So
Yeah.
self-care is non-existent, right? So if you are a single parent, first of all, I say hats off to you, because I can only imagine how difficult it is. And the first thing you need to do is offer yourself grace. Offer yourself grace that you cannot do it all. And if you feel overwhelmed, it's because most likely you are.
Mhm.
Okay. So as you're doing that, so that's the first thing, sit with yourself for a moment and say, all right, I'm doing something that some people have help doing. So I have to figure out how to do this thing by myself and do it in a way where I still offer myself grace as I'm going through this process. Okay. Have your children be a part of this experience. Teach them compassion for you. We talked a little bit earlier about clothes. Get them involved. Get them involved with sorting the clothes for you. Even if it's a 3 or 4 year old, they can count how many pieces they're putting aside. They can color sort the clothes for you. Get them involved in the work. Get them involved in the experience. So you are not alone and you're not by yourself. Get them involved in cleanup, right? They will not want to do it. They may not like to do it, but hey, we are doing this thing together because we're in a tough space and we have to make it work, right? So even as we were redefining all of the other areas, this is a good time to redefine single family life too. It's just me alone, and I have to do this, I have to do that, so I need your help with this. When you're washing dishes, maybe your child can sit with you and read a book. So you're multitasking in a way where you're getting something done, but you're still spending time with them too. So just really finding, and this is tough for single parents, and I know that this is easier said than done, so forgive me if you say, yeah, I've tried it before, right? But having a schedule really is the best thing, because even if you fall short from that, you still have a guideline that you can follow.
Mhm.
Try to look at the time your child, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, and try to give yourself some time frames for certain things, and try to train them to go to bed on time so that you have an hour or two for yourself at night, and then you're able to get some self-care in there. So try to form a schedule, try to stick to it. If you don't, you still have a guide, and make sure you put at least an hour or two in there for yourself, just to breathe.
Oh my gosh, we have come to the end of this webinar, and such great ideas, I've enjoyed everything that we've talked about, because I think before we even talk about anyone being in business, whether you own it or you work for a business, you're an individual first. And to be the best individual for your job or for your business and for your family, you have to most importantly be the best individual for yourself. And I think you showed us today how to be the best individual for ourselves, taking this time to really just evaluate, taking this time to give ourselves grace and just love who we are right where we are, because no matter where you are today, you are enough today, right where you are. Thank you so much, Laura, for spending this time with us. Now, I want to correct something that I said, and you gave me grace, and you're so sweet about it. I said you're a licensed social worker, and you are not. You are a licensed mental health counselor. And I want to make sure that they understand that, and make sure that I corrected that for you. I apologize. But she is clinical director and CEO of Overcomers Counseling Center. That is true. So thank you guys for joining us today. This ends our series. What a way to end our series. We started with mindfulness and we ended with relationship. I mean, it's like you tied the bow to the series today. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all of those who are watching live, all of those who will be watching in replays. We thank you for being here. And we want to say, if there's anything that we can do for you, my local CFO is here for you. Each and every participant of the series is here for you. So just reach out and know how we can help you right where you are, because you're good where you are today. But just like we talked about on Friday, just like we talked about on Friday, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. And so that means that wherever you need to reach out, wherever you need some help, we want to be here to help you with that. That's the whole reason for this town hall series. Thank you again, Laura, for being here. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.